volunteered to do the social media for Glamorgan. So my role involves Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Currently on our Instagram, we have over 2,000 followers. So it's definitely the most popular channel for us. If I could have my first slide, please, Catherine. Fantastic. So it's actually all the fault of the National Garden Scheme that I started on my journey with social media. About 3 years ago, we were going to open our garden for the first time. And I really wanted to engage with the local community and encourage local people to come and encourage young families to come, that sort of thing. So much to my children's absolute horror, I started a Facebook and an Instagram group for the garden, and we basically plotted and promoted our journey to our opening. So here you can see one of my neighbours who built a living sculpture in the garden, my son with a terrible haircut, my daughter who's got Monty helping her out in the kitchen baking some cakes, a garden map, and all of those things, all of those posts, people started to really engage with us. And on the day, well, it was over a weekend actually, we had 500 visitors, completely gridlocked the village. But it was a great day, and you can see loads of people helped out, my friends, people from the village. That's little Stanley who lives in the village. A couple of my friends even ended up in the local paper, so they were absolutely completely delighted. So we've continued with this sort of personal Instagram and Facebook page, and we now have over 3,000 followers. So if I could have the next slide, please, Catherine. So sort of at the back of this, Rosamond asked whether I would do our Glamorgan Instagram. So in a normal year, we would post about garden openings. So 3 or 4 times a week, we'd let people know what's going on. We'd also support all the national campaigns. In this particular shot, I've taken a screenshot of one of them. This was quite early days. I had a photograph of our nice stand at the RHS show, which was then promoted out there to come and say hello, come to the show. And it was a great way to sort of engage with the public. I think the most important thing I find with Instagram really is you really do need to put your content out there regularly. So at least three or 4 times a week. You have to be quite diligent about it. You have to be quite creative, be friendly. If you don't continue to do it on a regular basis, then the algorithms will just like shut you down, and your posts don't really get seen. So it's really important to do regular content. So slide 3, please. So we use Instagram in loads of different ways, not just for advertising our gardens. So for example, when we're taking out all of our county leaflets, we have taken photographs of where they are. I will then put them on our Instagram and Facebook pages, and people will know that they can pop in to these places to pick them up. So we've got a garden centre, we've got a dentist, we've got a Pilates studio. They're also great in doctor's surgeries and all those hairdressers and all that sort of stuff. So basically a way of engaging again with the local community and encouraging people to come along to our openings. So the next slide, please. Great. So we've also used it to get help. We were really struggling. We needed a publicity officer at the time. I was trying to do the social media and publicity, and I was failing on publicity. It was just too much for me to do. So we put out I actually did an advertisement. So I did a paid advert for, I think it cost me about £10 or something, for a publicity officer. And we were really lucky that Rhian actually spotted the advert, and she's joined us now, which is great. We were also desperately in need of some great photographs of our gardens. So I did a little post asking for volunteers, amateur photographers. And I have to say, we were completely inundated. Poor Rosamond, she had to go through so many of them. But we whittled it down, and now they've been out taking photographs of all of our Glamorgan gardens, and we've got that bank of photos we can use for social media and the garden owners themselves. So next slide, please. I've also spotted new gardens on Instagram. I get them in my sights, and if I see that there's any that are particularly lovely, then I will message the garden owners. Quite a lot of them have their own quite large followings, so it's quite an interesting way of gaining new visitors as well, really. Well, I've had lots of people promise that they will open. Obviously, the same thing as, oh, I'm not quite ready yet with a few of them, but they'll definitely get there in the end. Although one of my garden owners has actually skipped and moved counties. So he needs to be mopped up by somebody else now, I think. So then if I could have my next slide, please. So it was all going quite well, really, with the social media. And then, of course, the pandemic hit, and it turned into a bit of a nightmare, really, because all I was doing was posting about cancelled openings, and it was looking a bit depressing. So I started to think out of the box a bit. We asked our garden owners to send in little videos of their garden, which I posted on the days that they were meant to be opening, just to sort of have a tour around their garden. Or we had photographs sent in of their gardens, and I would put them up on the day they were due to open. I actually did an Instagram live on the day that we were due to open. So that basically means that I was doing a live tour, and people could join me on that tour. So I'd wander around the garden, showing them as I went along and chatting, and people would pop up asking questions, and I'd explain. I mean, it did work really well in some parts of the garden, but the other bits, the Wi-Fi was a bit dodgy, so I had to go back. But I think it was a great way that people actually felt included. Again, it's all about engagement. It's all about just making people feel part of the National Garden Scheme. And then they donated actually at the end of that. So as well as supporting the national campaigns this year, we decided to run our own little festivals. So we had an autumn colour festival, we had a hellebore festival, we had a snowdrop festival, and as you can see in the middle there, we had a beautiful snowdrop painting done for us by Sarah, thank you. And those were really popular. I have to say that videos are hugely popular compared to photos, but people really like the engagement. I think everybody's just in lockdown, and it's just so miserable that seeing these beautiful gardens live on a weekly basis has made such a difference to people as well. So next slide, please. So alongside this, it first started out with me really needing some images to use during the lockdown, and with all the cancelled openings. So we decided to create our own WhatsApp group, which is what we've done, and we now have around 25 members, and it's absolutely great. It started out really as an easy way to share images of our garden, but it has turned into far more of a community amongst us. So I think a lot of it has, a lot of the posts has cheered us up through pandemics. We've seen people's children getting married in gardens. We've shared gardening tips. We've had plant swaps between local gardens. And it's just become a really lovely community. And I have to say, I'd highly, highly recommend it. I think it's cheered us on through some dark times over the last few months. And I think we've all got to know each other a lot more, and it's become far more of a community for us. So next slide, please. So the WhatsApp group, here's a few of our members. So these are all garden openers that chatted away on WhatsApp group and managed to meet up in one of our very few gardens that opened last year, sadly. As you can see, that's the moment in time because they're all sitting nicely socially distanced from each other. But that probably wouldn't have happened if we hadn't had our WhatsApp group. So now I think moving forward, we'll definitely all meet up in gardens, and we can't wait to actually see each other in person rather than just chatting. So I would highly recommend it. It's been great for us. Next slide, please. So my presentation is really quite short and sweet. Instagram success. It takes quite a lot of time. You have to do it regularly, as I said. You can easily share between Instagram and Facebook just by a button on your phone. So that's not too time consuming. Videos are massively more popular than photographs. People just love a video. Also, I think my top tips would be, people love flowers, pets, and cake. So those are always by far the most popular posts. So if you can manage to get all three of them together in a post, you've absolutely nailed it. And also, like, I am absolutely no expert at social media, but you know, just keep plowing on. And I feel quite passionate about it, actually, because the new generation, we've got to start to encourage them to become part of the National Garden Scheme. And there has been, during lockdown, the number of new people interested in gardens, and Instagram is insane, with people who are showing videos of how they're planting peas or leeks or lettuces, and just new influencers are on there, and it's all about gardening. And I think we've got to try and get these people into our little National Garden Scheme family if we possibly can. So that's what I'm aiming to do, is try and get a whole new generation coming into our gardens. And now is the absolute perfect time. So I really hope that you'll all embrace it a bit more. And if anybody wants any help, I'm here. I can help anytime at all. Just send me a little message on our Glamorgan Instagram group, and I'm here to help you. And also, if you want to ask any questions, you know, please feel free. Thank you.
Thank you ever so much, Rhian. That's absolutely brilliant. I know a couple of other counties have tried the Garden Owner WhatsApp group. So I think if you could share some more tips about that between them, and that would be absolutely brilliant. There's a lot of interest in it, but a bit of nervousness about how the best way is to get it actually up and running.
No problem.
Thank you ever so much, Rhian.